You're listening to Business Lunch with Roland Frasier. This is your seat at the table.
So what I've had is a career of being the person who didn't want the spotlight, who really just like building. I didn't want to be encumbered by the celebrity of building businesses. So my first big venture, the name of the company was My Partner. My second one was Kim Garst. And then only now, literally officially today, am I going to be making a move at the urging of my friend Roland to now be in front of the company. So I'd like to introduce myself to the world. You'll be seeing a lot more of me, and for reasons why you'll hear in just a second. In fact, it's part of the story. Today's conversation is all about deconstructing. And I'm gonna give you just 2 minutes of my story, because I don't think it's important other than everybody has a story and yours is important. And you can't deny from where you came. So here's mine. I'm a career entrepreneur. I had no choice. You know, the last 5 years, entrepreneurship has been like everybody says they're an entrepreneur. It's funny how nobody's saying it anymore based on what's happened in the last 3 or 4 months. But my father was an entrepreneur. My grandfather was an entrepreneur. You have no choice in my family but to start your own business. And at 5 years old, I said, 5 years old, this is no joke, I'm going to be a self-made millionaire by 30. Don't want my family's money. So I'm going to be a multi-millionaire by 35, and I'm going to be retired by 40. This is what you say when you're 5 years old. Unfortunately, your 5-year-old self actually programs most of your life.
You're so much better than I am, Terry. I wanted to be a garbage man because I thought it was cool. They'd come to the house. They had this cool truck that did all these things and, you know, moved around. And I obviously started in the wrong direction.
So we both ended up okay, Roland. But so what happens is you make, what sound like brilliant decisions, which are stupid decisions. And you think stupid is like, no, I did not get a drug addiction and move to Hollywood. I said, I'll go to West Point, the United States Military Academy, one of the hardest places in the world to get hold of. I am not a military guy, but it was on the path. When I get out, I'll take a job as a compliance consulting person. Why? Because I can make the most money the quickest, but I'll just skip a bunch of years. It took me 15 years, but long and short of it, I was a millionaire by 30, multimillionaire by 35, retired by 39, and I spent my 40th birthday in the emergency room at the Las Vegas hospital because I was doing stupid shit, which you could say, like you would see in the movie Leaving Las Vegas. And I'm like, I can't keep doing this. So fortunately, when I sold my company, I was to a big private equity firm. I was the third largest shareholder even after that. So I couldn't screw up so much. It's like having rich parents. I mean, they're going to throw you out, but eventually, when you get right one step above homelessness, they'll give you some money. So I did that. And long and short, but over the next few years, I sat with a couple of billionaires and I watched them do all the work. And I was at the end of a very long marble table, and I would bring my checkbook and they would tell me what we're buying. But along the way, I picked up some stuff. I saw how you build 8-figure companies inside of 9-figure companies. I joined Tech Coast Angels, so I saw some angel investing. And then finally, at 45 years old, I said, my brain is one step above dead. So I went back and got a business degree from Rady School of Management, a school for entrepreneurs in San Diego. And then I started a social media marketing firm my second year, because I'm like, I can't leave here with no direction. So I took a class, started a social media marketing firm. I went to 7 figures in the first week. Why? Because it's 2010, it's social media, and all my friends are on Tech Coast Angels and have companies are like, hell, we don't know what social media is, but we'll buy it. And honest to God, I sent my first text about 3 months, about 3 months before that. So that started me on the journey to where I am now. About 2.5 years ago, I said, listen, this e-commerce thing, I think it's going to be huge. So let me go all in on that. I've done what I can with digital marketing. One of the great things that brought me, though, is I was early in War Room. Roland's been a friend for years, and Deanna's been a friend for years. So 2013, I was in War Room for about a 4-year run. Rejoined again in January of this year. And oh my gosh, it's been amazing. So that's my story. And now, and if you can take one thing away from this that I've learned, great. If you can take two, great. So let's just go through. I've got a 6-month head start on you. When I joined War Room again in January, the next day, I remember reaching out to Deanna. I'm like, you got to get me into this thing with Roland. It was like starting like 72 hours later. And she's like, oh, yeah, okay. And I think it really is because it was me, because I know War Room's always full. And like when I walked in, there's no empty seats. So I figured she'd do something special to get me in. So thank you for that. So I went to this legs intensive, which is kind of the precursor to what we're doing right now. And there I am sitting in the front row. But long and short of it is, in the first 5 minutes, was absolutely captivated. I'm like, what can you possibly be talking about? Now, the middle of the second day, if you're a good digital marketer, there's always an upsell. So at the beginning of middle of the second day, the upsell was an A&E Accelerator and 4 hours at Roland's house. And the price was $30,000. And I remember as quickly as I could run to the back of the room telling Deanna, oh, hell yes. Because anytime somebody you have great respect for says, I'd like just to focus on you. And I've also put together this accelerator, this group of people, kind of just like you. And we're going to spend 8 weeks doing this stuff, like the stuff we're doing now. I was absolutely 1,000% in. And Roland, I've known Roland for years, and I could have just shown up at War Room for the next 6 years and tried to get a little piece here and a little piece there. But I'm like, if you have the opportunity to go fast, you guys all made a brilliant decision because you're here and I don't have to convince you. So in the first 2 minutes, he puts this thing up and it's not filled in and he says, solve the maze. And I feel like I'm super genius level maze solver. So I see through it in about 15 seconds and I raise my hand because I've got it solved. And I think, okay, what is this? And what it was a metaphor for how you approached business and where we kind of all start, which is we enter this thing, typically not even knowingly, and we run into a wall. And then we turn around and go another way, and then we run into another wall, we turn around and go another way. And eventually you make it through, and we call the victors the ones who made it all the way through the maze. And that's the way I always thought, is that suffering plus time plus the ability to pivot meant that eventually you won. And so Roland says, no, let's find a different solution. So the whole class comes up with, hey, well, we'll just go around the maze. One guy says, we'll get like a bulldozer and just go right through the walls. And all these like solutions that regular people would say. And then Roland says, screw the maze. We don't have to, why are we thinking mazes? You don't have to solve this problem. So what he told me and what you're learning right now is there's these different kinds of growth. One's called linear growth, and that's where you put in sweat equity, low capital, it's very predictable income, there's some upside, it's slow, but it's safe. Then as you go, and I did this for years, and guys, I'm not talking about a little bit, right? I'm talking about like my company I sold for multiple 8 figures, then I sold for 9 figures. Now it's just recently sold again for about $300 million to Provident Equity. So I'm like, this is not like little. And then we did acquisitions. So the way acquisitions go is you get up enough money and you buy a company and it kind of sucks for a while, but eventually make it back to cash flow break even. And you say, well, I'm never doing that crap again. And then a few years later, you get another tuck-in acquisition, and then you have a loser, and then you have a winner. So I spent 30 years doing this. And Roland says, how about exponential growth, little personal risk, little to no capital required, huge upside, very profitable with exit flexibility called goose and eggs. And so what I'm going to show you happened between January 18th and now. So here's the breakdowns. This is going to go a lot quicker from here. Plenty of time at the end to ask questions. So that's why I want to go fast now. This is the wrong approach. My hair was on fire when Roland, at Legs. He turns around and he says, you should work with you. You should work with you. You should work with you. literally like rainmaking from the front row by listening to the different needs we have. It's uncanny. I will tell you that 3 of those deals will all be worth more than $10 million to me. They will all happen. And I have the deal breakdown as deal breakdown 1, deal breakdown 2, and deal breakdown 3, which I'll show you in just a second. But I went out there I said, okay, great. I got my new mentality, but my old approach. What I'm going to do, I'm going to find the celebrity, first mistake. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to have a vision that's way too big. And then I'm going to use whatever leverage I have to go out and build a premium flywheel for Amazon sellers. I'm going to buy a company that does YouTube ads. I'm going to buy my own PPC company. I'm going to buy a piece of a premium software company. Then I'm going to buy what became Zonography. Then I'm going to do partners with a company called Perpetua who does enterprise. Then I'm going to get a branding company called Brand Rebel. Then I'm going to have 5 of my own brands, 3 partner brands, and this is what I'm all going to do. So I showed up at these A&E meetings every 2 weeks, and I'd say, Roland, dude, got another one, got another 2, got another 3, all crazy kinds of deals. I said, well, I want 20 revenue streams because this is what I've always done. So if it's green, that means I created it. If it's purple, that means it's coming, right? So these are actually the names of the companies. This is all like super legit stuff. Then I said, well, I need to hire a bunch of people. So if it's green, I hired them. If it's orange, I was right in the middle of hiring them. I got 2 advisory deals for Brand Rebel and Sixleaf, which was the biggest software company. It was called Zonblast back in the day. And I'm like, I'm just killing it. And then I'm like, well, if you put a forecast together with a bunch of numbers, and like, I'm a super smart dude. Well, it's simply the sum of the individual pieces. And all I have to do is have this much ownership. This is the multiple. Here's the total investment. My goodness, how convenient. It came out to $103 million, of which I'll only get $68 million. And this was going fabulously because this was April 10th. And I'm like, oh my God, this is so easy. And then that happens. And then at 2:30 on the afternoon of April 11th, this celebrity partner said, I'm out. I'm scared. It's COVID. I'm gone. And I, for a second, was like just shell-shocked. I'm like, what? Do you know who I am, what I was going to do for you, what I had done, blah, blah, blah. And my ego was way in the way. But it turned out it was the best thing that ever happened to me. So I want to talk to you today. If you feel like you're making a mistake, I've seen it. I watched Ryan tell and Roland tell one of us, don't do that deal. It's way too big. It'll eat you alive. And your ego says, but I can get the deal. Yes, and I heard Ryan say, 1 or 2 deals a year is pretty good. We have a deal we did last year. We could have done something we didn't even. So I'm going to offer as advice at this point in the game, the right approach. Superpower plus passion equals unstoppable. Just think about the people who actually kill it in the world. They have a superpower and they're not passionate about it. They do okay. They're passionate, but they suck at it. I mean, I'd love to be a professional golfer, but I suck, right? But you put those 2 together. The other thing is you have to define your outcome. What do you want? Because this program is so powerful, it will give you stuff that you say you want. But then you have to want it at the end. Do you want money? Do you want time? Do you want effort? Do you want fun? The one thing I didn't understand was my leverage. I'm a dude who's built 1 9-figure and multiple 8-figure companies. And I didn't realize that when I spoke, people listened. That when I sat down in a deal, everybody was looking at me. I didn't realize I did not have to use my own money. It was crazy. I have spent 15 years being not famous. So you go, well, Terry, what about your network? I don't have a network. But you can actually borrow people's networks you trust. And then Roland taught me this one, play long-term games with long-term people. After this blew up, I sent him a text. I'm like, dude, this thing exploded. He goes, yeah, play long-term games with long-term people. That's why I like you, Terry. And then the next one, bite less, chew more.
Bite less, chew more is awesome, Terry. I love that. I hadn't seen that one from you before. That's so good.
And then the big epiphany was be the leader. And that's really where I woke up and I said, screw it. Okay, I'm in front. This is it. Everybody get the F out of the way because I'm coming through. And so my advice, if you don't know how to do this, I just wanted to offer, again, it's just deconstructing. You know, I wanted to start with me getting my butt kicked to telling you why I feel so happy right now, is that superpower plus passion still doesn't get you anywhere. There has to be value to it. So if you're super duper passionate about tiddlywinks, and you also happen to be an amazing tiddlywinks player, the world really doesn't value that, right? But for some reason, putting a little white ball in a white hole can make you millions. So if you wanted to sit down and say, what's my superpower? I'm going to show you guys something that was just an absolute epiphany to me. In the Epic Accelerator group, I haven't been commenting a lot. Again, I'm trying to get over that. But I saw a couple of posts like, what is really resonating with people? So I saw right here, David Klein asked, what is your superpower? And there were 62 comments. So I typed in superpower, and go in here and read what people say about their superpower, right? What is your superpower? 62 comments. And people didn't even speak. All of a sudden, we're going on and on and on, like they couldn't shut up. It's like somebody asked them about their kids. Hey, is your kid cute? Oh, my kid is so cute. I love my kid's the smartest kid, this and that. Well, people are passionate about their superpowers. So if you're wondering what that feels like, go in and read this post. But once you have your superpower, then all you need to do is you need to figure out how to get it. And for me, that's 3 pieces: understanding your leverage, your network, and your deal skills. And that's what you're learning right here. Here's kind of what you're born with, what you came to this accelerator with. Here is kind of what you're trying to understand. What is my leverage? What are my deal skills? How do I network? And it's just playing with those, and you're in a safe environment. So don't feel like you have to get it right out of the chute. So what I really wanted, the epiphanies at the end of this, I just sat down and I said, oh my God, thank you, universe. I get to do this again. I want to build an 8-figure e-commerce business building machine. I think Amazon's too small of a swimming pool, but I'm just going to own that first. Then I'm going to go to Shopify, then I'm going to go to retail. Why? Because that's how the whole world is going. Amazon is buying X and going to Y. I want to play at the 8-figure level. I'm not playing 6- and 7-figure sellers. Other people can handle that. I'm only doing deals and only building my business to do 8 figures. I want to have fun. Man, if I wake up and it sucks going to work every day, why? I can just retire. I want to play long-term games with long-term people at my level or higher. Now, don't get me wrong, guys. I'm not a snob. You don't have to have succeeded more than me. I'm talking about you as a human, plus you with your potential and your passion. I don't want anybody to compete with what I'm 55 years old. I should have done a couple of things, right? I want to be in front of the company. I want to control my own destiny, and I want fulfillment. So plus money, because a couple of times I said to Roland, I was like, man, this whole money thing is such a pain in the ass. Why do we have to keep score? Like I made enough he's like, you're totally missing this. The money's not for you, dumbass. The money's what you can do, what you can use to do for other people. So I formed a new company. It's called Fulfillionaire Ventures, LLC. Nod to Brad Blazer on Roland's podcast where he told me about that word. So I want to talk a second about the model, and then I'm going to talk about the deals, and I'm almost done, okay? So with the model, what I do is I am an observer, and quite frankly, I cheat. So I've seen the model that Roland built, and then I got lucky enough to be in Adam's group. So I saw the model that Adam built. And guys, what this model does is it does the prospecting and the qualifying for you. You simply have to stop long enough to put out in front what you want people to see of you. Did you know you can actually use social media proactively? You don't have to apologize for all the stupid crap you put on there. You can just start putting on, how do you want to be known and show up in the world? So I said, well, I need a personal brand, and I need a professional brand, and I need to be able to have these two talk to each other without sounding salesy. Like, I don't want my personal brand to tell you that I'm a badass over here. So what I'm going to do is drop Easter eggs. So I'm like, who's the best Easter egg droppers I know? Well, one is Roland Frasier. He's not going to ever, the guy is not, I've known the guy for years, never heard him brag, period. All he tells you is you can get free access to the 585 multiplier with tool and training. Use this tool to 5x the value of your business, reduce your expenses 80% or more, include. Do you not want to 5x the value of your business or reduce your expenses 80% or increase your deal flow? So he's not selling you the drill or talking about himself. He's talking about you and what he can do for you. But I wanted a badass personal website. So I'm like, well, let me just cheat off the best. There's Roland. I got to have an opt-in, bottom of page 1. I got to look personable. The dude loves wine. So it's not a stretch that he's got a glass of wine in the background. But I also like Frank Kern, another badass, but look at this shadow thing over here and report from the trenches. But I really respect Ryan because he's like the most humble. If it's on Ryan's page, it's absolutely true. Marketer turned entrepreneur turned investor. He's a reluctant investor. He loves the market. It's like legit. So what have you had? TerryWilliamson.com that had a little bit of Frank Kern, that had a little bit of Ryan Dice, that had a little bit of Roland on it. And if Roland's going to tell you his story, then I'm going to tell you my story. And if Roland has an opt-in that provides value and you sign up for it and you get an email and there's a separate page where you can download a worksheet that's got a 10-minute video and a worksheet, then I'm going to have something that has value, that says woohoo, that's an email, that's got 7 minutes of training with something you can use. So if you want to calculate your freedom number, first of all, I tell you what freedom is, and it's not money. It's the fact that you don't have to worry about money, and you can get on board with that. Then all you have to do is come in here and say, I want $1 million dream house. And then I want, presuming this thing works, then I want, yep, there we go. I want a $100 million dream house. That's a good number. Then I want a $2 million vacation house, or $200,000 vacation house. Then I really like my clothes, so I want a $5,000 a month budget for clothes, but I want to give some money to charity, so I'm going to do that. So you can come here and you go, you know what, maybe I don't want really a big dream house. I just want, maybe 4 million would be good. And all of these are based on readily accepted investment advice. Like, I'm not saying you get a 30%. I'm saying put your money in risk-free, get your 4 or 5%, live off the interest, buy your stuff. So my point is that I have now taken and framed myself as a business builder turned entrepreneur turned investor. Now I just have to make sure that the rest of my personal profile stays the same. Wherever you go, it's going to be very, very consistent. Wherever you go when you see Roland, it's going to be very, very consistent. So long and short of it, then I did the same thing with, it's on Marketer, my site. You see, I only want to do 8-figure deals. Now I got an opt-in over here. Now I got my whole platform set up for that. And then I went the cheating one step further. I simply took and had one of my team members give me Roland's entire social media strategy, what he did where and how he did it. So now I'm just going to copy that. So my point is that very quickly you can go from wherever your positioning is now to what you want your positioning to be next. So worth doing. Feel free to cheat off us. So let me start with where I started. On January 16th, I had done none of what I just spent an hour and a half telling you about. Zero. I didn't charge. You couldn't find me on the planet Earth. I did not exist, right? Now I've got people coming to pay me all this money. And one, I positioned myself what I wanted people to see from me. That's why I have my website. I could show up email after email. Oh my God, I just looked at your website. You're the exact right guy. I'm like, oh, your freedom number thing. I've never heard anybody talk about it like that. So I just positioned myself as somebody that it's a, not just a pleasure, but it's like, wow, I'm in the right space for this. And it only comes down to two things: value and leverage. It's just value and leverage. So you all have value, and I think we might be getting lost in the details of execution. So you see this tactic, that tactic, this very specific question about how you do this and that. Guys, that's the background noise. You can cheat. In fact, I'm going to drop the document in there. You go, step 1, build my own website. It should look like step 2. So let's say you could cheat through that. It will still come back to value and leverage. Now, what Roland has is tremendous value. And what he's also created now is leverage, the ability. He doesn't have to go out and pitch his wares. And what you want, the best deals are the people who already know you. This is not a cold traffic play.
Yep.
This is not a I'm desperate play. This is simply recognizing the value you have and the existing leverage in the network you already have, and then the doors will open for you.
Yeah, and it will work to cold traffic. It's just like, in other words, to me, cold traffic is going to include an interview that you do, a speaking slot that you do, a podcast thing that you do, because I get people from those all the time. And it's funny. It's a very long game. You just keep putting out that value. So I do probably, I don't know, 6 or 8 podcasts a month, interviews with on other people's podcasts. And that helps me build my podcast. And then I get a tremendous amount of people coming in from the podcast that I do that, heard an episode or saw something, and it just works. Okay, Terry, thank you so much for being here. Thank you for breaking down those deals. I super appreciate it. Love you as a human and a business partner. I really, really can't thank you enough. Have a great day. We'll see you soon.